How is everyone doing? This is Kim, and welcome back to another exciting presentation into the U.S. trucking business. So without further ado, weather moves freight. 3 words that can make or break your bottom line in this market. After 10 years dispatching trucks through every disaster imaginable, I can tell you this. Rates, risk, and positioning, they all revolve around what's happening in the atmosphere above us. We're in one of the worst freight markets I've seen. But here's what separates the survivors from the casualties. Understanding that weather isn't just something you check before you roll. It's the single biggest market disruptor that nobody's properly leveraging. Today, I'm breaking down exactly how to turn Mother Nature from your enemy into your competitive advantage. Let me hit you with a number that should wake you up. 23% of all trucking delays are weather-related, nearly a quarter of your potential downtime. But here's what that statistic doesn't tell you. When weather hits, 3 things happen simultaneously that create pure market chaos. First, capacity disappears. Not gradually, instantly. I watched it happen during that Kansas blizzard last winter. Within 4 hours, we lost 60% of available trucks in that corridor. Second, rates spike. And I'm not talking about a few cents per mile. We're talking astronomical jumps, sometimes 200 to 300% within hours. Third, velocity collapses. The entire supply chain grinds to a halt. Trucks that normally turn a load every 2 days are suddenly sitting for a week. This triple threat creates what I call a market shock. And if you're positioned right, it's where fortunes are made. Every storm literally redraws the freight map. Roads close, that's obvious. But what happens next is where the money is. Trucks park, not by choice, but by necessity. I've seen parking lots in Nebraska turn into temporary truck cities during blizzards, hundreds of rigs burning fuel just to stay warm. Meanwhile, freight stacks up. Warehouses overflow. Shippers get desperate. And here's the result that matters to your wallet. Load-to-truck ratios explode. I tracked this during Storm Blair last winter. Normal load-to-truck ratio in the Midwest? About 3 to 1. During the storm, it hit 12 to 1 in some markets. When that happens, you can basically name your price, if you're available and positioned correctly. Winter is where the real chess game happens. Cold weather creates opportunities across every equipment type, but timing is everything. Reefer demand jumps immediately. Last February, we saw a 40% spike in freeze protection loads. Paint, batteries, beverages. Suddenly, everything needs temperature control. My reefer operators were getting $3.75 a mile for loads that normally paid $2.50. Vans become the heroes hauling relief freight. After that polar vortex hit Chicago, dry van rates into the city jumped 30% overnight. But here's the kicker. The smart money wasn't rushing in during the storm. Flatbeds stall initially, nobody's tarping in a blizzard, but then comes the surge. Construction materials, salt, emergency equipment. The rebound is massive. Remember this. Rates rise after the storm clears, not during it. The operators sitting in truck stops waiting for the weather to break? They're positioned perfectly for the gold rush that follows. Hurricanes are a 2-act play, and you need to understand both acts to profit. Act 1. Before landfall. Freight stops, ports close, everyone evacuates, it's a dead zone. During Hurricane Milton last year, Florida freight movement dropped to near zero. If you're in there when it hits, you're not a hero, you're a fool. Act 2. After the storm. This is where the money is. FEMA loads paying premium rates. Rebuild freight flooding in. We're talking extreme rate spikes. 300% isn't unusual. After Hurricane Helene, I had operators pulling $8 to $10 per mile hauling water and generators into the impact zone. One guy made more in 2 weeks than he'd made in the previous quarter. But he was staged in Atlanta when the storm hit, not stuck in Tampa. The key? Position before, profit after. Never chase the storm, let it come and go, then chase the money. Same storm, completely different outcomes based on your trailer. This is where most operators miss the boat entirely. Dry van operators, you're looking at relief freight and chaos. High-paying FEMA loads, but massive detention times. Build that into your rate or you'll regret it. Reefer operators, you've got dual opportunities. Freeze protection in winter, emergency food and medical supplies after disasters. You can charge premium rates because you're providing premium service. Flatbed, you're playing the long game. Initial delays when weather hits, but then the rebuild gold rush. After every major storm, flatbed rates spike for months as infrastructure gets rebuilt. Wrong trailer equals wrong market. I've watched van operators sit empty while reefers next to them are turning down $4 per mile loads. Know your equipment's weather advantage and exploit it. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Smart beats hard in weather freight. The guys making money aren't chasing storms. They're playing chess while everyone else plays checkers. Don't chase storms. I see cowboys trying to beat hurricanes to Florida or racing blizzards to Denver. That's not brave, it's stupid. Stage outside impact zones. When Hurricane Milton was 72 hours out, my smart operators were already positioning in Georgia and Alabama. When the storm passed, they were first in line for those premium loads. Enter after clearance. Let the idiots fight the weather. You fight for the profitable freight that comes after. Weather timing beats miles driven every single time. One perfectly positioned load after a storm can out-earn a week of regular freight. It's not about how hard you run, it's about when and where. Let's talk tech, because if you're not using these tools, you're flying blind. NOAA and NWS, free, accurate, and updated constantly. Bookmark weather.gov right now. Their Storm Prediction Center gives you 3 to 5 day outlooks. That's your crystal ball for positioning. Route weather apps, trucker tools, DriveWise Safety Plus, Weather Underground. These aren't just weather apps, they're profit predictors. DriveWise gives you alerts 50 miles before you hit weather. That's the difference between parking safely and ending up in a ditch. Freight analytics with weather layers. Freight waves. Sonar is expensive but worth it. You can see exactly where weather meets freight demand. When tender rejections spike in a storm zone, that's your signal to move. If a tool doesn't show impact on freight, it's just noise. You need actionable intelligence, not just pretty radar images. Let me be crystal clear. Parking is profitable when it keeps you alive and ready for what comes next. Wind shuts capacity. When Wyoming closes I-80 for 70 mph gusts, half the westbound freight in America stops moving. The trucks that park early and wait? They're the ones available when it reopens and rates are sky high. Snow traps trucks, but it also traps the competition. I've seen operators make a month's revenue in 3 days after being the only available truck when roads reopened. Parking early equals alive plus paid later. The $5 per mile load means nothing if you're upside down in a ditch. No rate fixes a rollover. I don't care if they're offering $20 a mile. If conditions are dangerous, you park. Period. The money will still be there when the weather clears, and you'll be alive to collect it. Weather is an edge. In this garbage market, it might be the only edge you have left. Predict disruption. Use those tools, watch those patterns. Know what's coming before your competition does. Avoid dead zones. Don't be the hero stuck in the storm. Be the genius positioned just outside it. Enter scarcity. When capacity is gone and demand is desperate, that's your moment. That's when ordinary rates become extraordinary profits. Spot market winners plan before the storm hits, not during. While everyone else reacts, you've already acted. While they're checking the weather channel, you're checking your bank balance. The forecast isn't just about weather anymore. It's about your financial survival. Use it wisely, position strategically, and turn every storm into an opportunity. Weather moves freight. Make sure it's moving money into your pocket. If you like this presentation, hit that subscribe button and press like. I will see you next time.